decided that there was not a lot of other places I could go, and I wanted to change careers. And when I went to a headhunter, and headhunters were always calling me when I wasn't looking to make a change, and all of a sudden, I want to make a change, and they said, oh, good, that's great, and we'll get back to you. And all of a sudden, I'm getting all of these interviews in the industry that I'm in. And if I wanted to be in the industry that I was in, I wouldn't have been leaving the company I was with. I wanted to make a career change. And that's exactly what happened to Richard Bowles. He was a priest. And he decided that he no longer wanted to be in the priesthood. And he went to headhunters and went out and started posting his resume and listed everything he had done. And the only people that he heard from were people that wanted him to be a social worker. And it took him a long time to figure this out, because that's not what he wanted to do. He very specifically stated what he wanted to do. And finally, he was working with a headhunter and he figured the whole thing out. He's saying, I don't understand. I've given you about 8 companies that you can interview with. You're perfect for all of them. You have all the skills for it. Why do you not want to do this? He said, they're all social work. He said, I left the priesthood not because of my lack of belief, not because I didn't love being a priest. I wish I could have kept being a priest and taught the Word of God. He said, the only thing I hated about being a priest was social work. And it's a fact. I mean, it's in the book. It's in the book. So I got his book, and it helped me reinvent my career, and that was a long time ago. And he updates it every 2 or 3 years. Up until 2008, I was a headhunter. I was in the executive search business, primarily recruiting people 150,000 and above. When the market tanked, everyone was getting downsized. I decided to get into the career coaching business, because basically that's what you do when you're a recruiter anyway. You're constantly helping people apply for jobs and telling them what to do and matching talent. And so I decided to get into this business, but more importantly, I had a client, and it was a large bank here in town. And they all knew my background. I'd worked there about 3 years, and this was a special project they had me on. All of a sudden, they're all knocking on my door, guys way above me, very senior executives, saying, Larry, you know all about finding jobs. How am I going to find a job? I still have one, but I'm sure I'm going to get cut with this economy. And that's where I found the opportunity. But this book is great. And now, the new thing that he's got in here, the blue pages, is really cool, because it's totally devoted to the military. So that's a great asset too. He's got, if you thumb through it, you might, some of the matrix in here will drive you a little bit crazy, but that's not really what the book's all about. I'm going a little off of script here for a couple of reasons. One, I posted that we would talk about job opportunities, and I thought that that would be an easy thing for me to document, and it turned out it wasn't. Mainly because the state and the Greater Omaha Chamber just got through doing their economic survey, and they're having an economic luncheon next week, and they're not real excited about me preempting their presentation with what's going on. I should be able to have that for you in 2 or 3 weeks. What I've actually asked the Chamber to do is to send somebody that is involved at the Chamber in workforce development to come in and talk to you. If that doesn't work, we'll have somebody from the Labor Department come in and talk to you about what's going on. What I can tell you, because I've read the whole report, companies are pretty excited. I mean, they're really excited at Omaha with what's going on. I don't know how much of it. You're either a big Omaha fan or you're not so sure. And there's been a lot of great things happening in Omaha lately. We brought a lot of new industry in here. I moved here in 1991 and really didn't think I'd last over 3 years. I moved from Seattle. I had a 5-year plan to build a company and get out of here. And Omaha just kept growing and growing, and so my kids are still in Seattle and I'm in Omaha. And I wanted to get back and watch my grandkids grow up. And next week I'm going to go to watch both of them graduate from college, or next month. So I never quite made it. I'm a big fan of Omaha. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. If you're looking for a job, I can't think of a better city to be in. Anyway, in the survey of 250 companies that were included in the survey, and they range from small companies to the leverage was medium-sized to very large. 49% said they planned on expanding their workforce this year. 49% of the employers said they were going to expand their workforce this year. And the big weight with those companies is given to Union Pacific, Mutual of Omaha, some of the Berkshire companies, right up the street, Ameritrade. They're all hiring. I mean, they're all looking at needing people. So, what we'll be talking about through the next couple of weeks is identifying who those companies are and switching our tactics on how we can get them to hire us. Who knows who the largest employer in Omaha is, in the greater Omaha area?
Union Pacific?
That's a good guess.
Conagra. Conagra.
Okay, Omaha Public Schools is number 3. That's good. The obvious one we never think of is Offutt. Number 2 is CHI Health Systems.
Yeah.
You must have Blue Cross Blue Shield.
We do. And they didn't hire me either.
Methodist Health Systems, interesting, we don't think about them, but they're number 4. Nebraska Medicine's number 5. So we kind of look at with the presence that CHI has, you kind of think of those guys as, University of Nebraska Medical Center is 6, First Data is 7. That can vary from 7th to 15th in any given year.
Where's Union Pacific?
The nice thing, Union Pacific is 8th. Yeah. Hy-Vee is next. Then First National Bank, West Corporation, Walmart stores, Conagra Foods is way down. Mutual of Omaha, Creighton. But, you know, the other thing we're going to talk about is, again, having a really well thought out job search. These are the companies you can think of, but you need to go for the medium-sized companies too. The right-sized company, especially if you're older and have had a lot of experience, a smaller to medium-sized company can really use your expertise. I mean, you're a real asset to those people. And we very seldom think of it. As we were talking on the Google thing, I was thinking about how the 4 of us met in this room that are doing this. Only 1 person out of the 4 belongs to this church. And so that in itself is interesting. I was trying to reinvent my career, and I had made a couple of calls on big churches to offer some kind of program to help their congregations find employment. And in going through that, when I came to this church, they introduced me, for some reason that I don't know, to Mike Amaletti, and he's not a member here. But they introduced me to Mike, and I had this plan as to what I wanted to put together for it, but it was for a fee. And they decided that they would rather pay my fee and train a couple of people here, or that would work here on this ministry, to do what I offered to do. And so that's how Mike and I met. And in the course of that, I found out that he was into making a career change. And he said he came from Texas, but he sounded like New Jersey to me. And then it didn't take a very long conversation to realize I knew he was from New Jersey. And he said, you know, I work for a very large corporation here. Let's face it, Omaha, from where I've been, Omaha's a one-horse town, man. I mean, you got UP, you got a couple of places, but where else is there to work? And, you know, we had some fun together, did a lot of kidding together, became good friends, and he found out there's a lot of places to work, and he's found out through this work that he's done here, he probably will never have to worry about being unemployed again because of all the connections he's made, everyone in this group, people that attend here. They've all landed jobs. We've placed, what are we at, 200 now, Mike?
171.
171 landings. He's got a lot of connections with those people. Then through Mike, we both networked a lot. I introduced him to some of the people that I knew in the employment business and in consulting, and he developed from speakers there. All of a sudden I met Jeff here, and the next thing I know, I'd never met Jeff before. And as he mentioned earlier, every place we go, every place I'd go, I'm a big networker. Every place I'd go, all of a sudden, now that I knew who he was always there. I mean, we were networking. I was looking for a job. Jeff was looking for a job. Mike was looking for a job. And that's how we all ended up in this room. So it's not like we don't understand what you're going through. We've all done it several times. And
Scott who?
Here's a Scott.
Scott, once this thing launched, I would come in and speak a couple of times, and occasionally I'd stop by at meetings, but my business started taking off, and a couple of different projects I took on, and I came to a meeting one time, and Scott was here, and it was one of the greatest things that's happened to this group, because Scott had been doing the same thing in Houston. Dallas. You got a job with Journal Broadcasting. He's with Journal Broadcasting and runs the radio sales department, sales and marketing. And anyway, he'd been involved in a group similar to this down there, so he came in and brought a lot of new ideas for this group. So it's turned into be a really good group. I don't know how many of you, and I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I don't know how many of you have been unemployed before, or how many of you have ever, this may be the first time you were let go or downsized, and it's not a good feeling. Women do better with it than men do, but no one likes it. And men, we have a tendency that the job defines who we are, and I mean, it's who our identity is. We've got another problem called testosterone. So we're way too proud to beg. You know, women understand that. How many times do you ever see us asking for directions when we're lost in the car? The same is true on careers. We don't do very good at that. Women are much more successful. But coming up, because we're time to wrap up, coming up we're going to talk about, next week we're going to talk about putting together, you know, what should be included in your resume. We're not going to write the resume. You're going to have to come back for another deal. But there are some things that you don't think about on resumes that really should be in there. You need to think it out, especially today, to have a different approach, just like your Google profile. We're going to talk about salary negotiation. We're going to talk about the most important things to know in interviewing, and we're going to take it from the company's point of view, the recruiter's point of view. So to help you make sure that you know the kind of questions you should ask and what you should present if you get that interview. And then the area that I've yet to find somebody, and especially in this economy, the sensitive issue of how to ask, how to negotiate your salary. And we're going to get really into that. So those are the things that we hope to discuss next week. Hope to have somebody here from the chamber. We've got a couple of other good speakers coming in. And I hope that not only will you all be back next week, but that you'll bring some friends. We'd love to have them. This is going to be, I hope today was worthwhile for you. And I can only tell you that that you're going to get more and more meat in it as we move on. Okay, Mike?